This conference will now be recorded.
All right, you're all good. All right, thanks, guys. Welcome everyone to our August 2020 K-12 STEM Outreach Community of Interest Telecon webinar. I don't know, is it a webinar if we're not awarding PDHs? I'm not sure. Liza's here. She's our Vice Chairman for Strategic Alliance, and she's got a good strategic partner lined up to present to us today. So I won't steal too much of her thunder right now. Let's go to the next slide, Eddie. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Start with, okay. So anyway, this is what we're going to talk about today. We have our strategic partner profile with SkillsUSA. We're going to do a quick recap of the virtual camps. I'm not going to. We're going to have a quick how that went from Eddie, and then I want to review the assessment I mentioned a minute ago here that came out from the vice presidents for all of the communities of interest, and talk about maybe some volunteer opportunities and present a best practice of trying to use videos for virtual outreach, and then we'll kind of go around the horn here, find out what the posts are doing, and the second half of the agenda is kind of our standard wrapping up here. So Eddie, next slide. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate you taking the time. We want these calls to be worthwhile for everyone, and we hope that you all get something out of them. If there's things that you think we should be doing on these calls or information that you need or want, please email myself, Liza, Eddie, and let us know what we can do to make these more worthwhile for folks. I want to thank the folks from SkillsUSA for being here today to participate and for presenting. There's nothing better than getting it from the folks right there rather than me try to, or Liza try to explain. Well, Liza would do a good job of explaining what they're all about. Then we're going to talk a little bit about using videos, and I want a quick word on volunteers. Next slide, please. So Liza, if you would please introduce our STEM profile partner today.
Yeah, we have Sharon Harrington here from the FM Pipeline team, which is a nonprofit that created and runs the Facilithon competition. And we have Clay Mitchell here from SkillsUSA. Sharon is a retired 25-year facility management professional with 25 years of experience in corporate training, research and development, and manufacturing environments. She was honored as a fellow in the International Facility Management Association, past director at large for education on IFMA's board of directors, and she actually taught the Facility Management Professional Certificate Program at the University of Minnesota. Clay Mitchell is here from SkillsUSA. He's in California. He's the State Executive Director. He is the chairperson for the SkillsUSA State Directors Association and the Education Programs Consultant for the California Department of Education. So we're going to learn all about the Facilithon today. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Next slide then, Eddie. We'll be talking today about filling the facility management talent pipeline through the Facilithon and SkillsUSA. Next slide. So, and we were unable to have Shelley Travis with us today, the executive director, but she's very interested in your programs as well. Next slide. I'd like to start by explaining what a facility manager does in case some of you are not familiar with that field. A facility manager is somebody who supports people in the places where they live and work. We help maintain and improve the quality of life in the built environment. We manage the systems, the processes, and we integrate people, place, and technology. This may seem extremely broad, but as a facility manager, each day is an adventure full of new challenges. Next slide. Facility management is a big field with a lot of moving parts. Someone who is working in facility management may have some or all of the responsibilities that you see in this list. We touch a variety of areas every day, and every day is definitely different. You get surprises every day, which is one of the exciting things about being in this field. We like to say sometimes that a facility manager is a generalist who manages a team of specialists. Next slide. Facility management is a very broad field, and facility managers come to it with a variety of different degrees and technical training paths. This is a list of some popular starting points for facility management. And you can see that the STEM studies that your community of interest promotes are also key to our success in facility management and to filling future facility management positions. Next slide. Just as you are working to fill the pipeline of STEM-related and STEM-trained young people, the facility manager, the FM pipeline team, is working to fill the pipeline of future facility managers and for those skilled professionals who work with us. We are seeing that 50% of our facility management professionals are likely to be retiring in the next 10 to 15 years. And so we are looking for new people every day. Next slide. So how did the Facilithon itself come about? A local IFMA chapter created a college certificate program for facility management in 2012, but it immediately ran dry of students. A recruitment liaison program was created to populate the failing certificate program, but that also failed with the inability to scale up. If you go and you talk to one class of students at a time, you don't reach very many of them. So they then changed the question to how can we reach the next generation to how can we partner with somebody who's already there working with these young people, and how can we make the effort scalable? And the answer for us was to partner with SkillsUSA, who is already working with young people. Next slide. The FM pipeline team was then formed, which, as Liza mentioned, is a 501c3 nonprofit that manages the Facilithon competition and puts it on in partnership with SkillsUSA in order to fill that talent pipeline with future facility managers. Next slide. So what is the Facilithon? It's a unique SkillsUSA 3-part competitive event that is done typically at a SkillsUSA conference where they're doing other competitions typically in the trades. It's an event for high school students to learn about facility management. Next slide. It includes a 50-question test, a realistic facility management scenario and a problem for them to address, and then an FM challenge where after they have presented their solutions to this problem to a panel of one or more facility manager judges, they're given this challenge, which is an immediate emergency, something that they have to deal with right now and that they don't have any time to prepare an answer for. So they have to think on their feet. And we have now taken this virtual with COVID this winter when the SkillsUSA events had to be canceled. We brought it online in California, working with Clay and working with international judges since it was online. And the whole purpose of the Facilithon is to engage, enlighten, and energize that next generation of facility managers. Next slide, please. What is SkillsUSA? This video will give you a little taste of what they're all about.
Yeah.
What is SkillsUSA? SkillsUSA is a partnership with students, teachers, and industry working together to ensure America has a skilled workforce. That's the official answer.
Skills USA is life-changing. Skills USA is opportunity.
Skills USA is the future. Skills USA is amazing.
Skills USA is exceptional. Skills USA is a family.
Skills USA is a home for me. Skills USA is somewhere where I belong and I feel a part of. Skills USA is a CTSO, or Career and Technical Student Organization, representing 130 different occupational areas. Skills USA complements technical training with leadership development, so members can learn about their chosen field of study and about themselves. Join Skills USA and you're part of something big, something strong, something respected. A nationwide network of nearly 350,000 members in high schools, colleges, and post-secondary programs. Thousands of industry partners and more than 11 million members served since 1965. But don't let the numbers fool you. Skills USA is big, but its focus is you.
I learned so much about myself in Skills USA, and I learned how much more I could do if only I believed in myself.
When I joined Skills USA, there was definitely a big change in my life, in my attitude, in the way I do things, in the way I see things. Comparing who I was before Skills USA to who I am now is quite a contrast. I'm so proud of who I am today. Skills USA has so much value and so much to offer the jobs that are available today. The really good jobs that can pay upwards to 6 figures. Most of those require some kind of vocational background. Somebody has to come in and celebrate the opportunities that are available and encourage kids to explore a very specific kind of career. Nobody else is doing that today. It really does give you an edge because Skills USA, with the competitions and everything else, I worked with some of the programs that they expected us to be ready in, and so many people weren't, but we were because we had taken the time to really push ourselves and work with the stuff that we know we're going to have to do later, so why not do it now?
I definitely think the competitive experience of competitions will help you when you're going to go into the workforce. The importance of competitions in a chapter is to make us be at our best at what we do here.
Technical skills are only half of the Skills USA equation. Add dynamic leadership skills, and you've got the Skills USA edge that sets you apart from the pack. Skills USA! At work. Clever, huh? Because it means a couple different things. Champions that are working, and then it also means that they're champions of work, and yet it also means that when it comes to work, they are the champions. So there's really a lot going on in a very simple motto. Let's review. Skills USA, champions at work.
Well, it's certainly nice to have partners like Mike Rowe being a spokesperson for you and helping us out and helping getting our message across. So thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this morning here and this afternoon where you are. My name is Clay Mitchell. I am the State Director for Skills USA in California, and certainly had an amazing opportunity this past spring after COVID, the coronavirus hit in California, as it did the world. Certainly looking for things for our students to do, and the folks that brought up the Facilithon to us, and it was a great opportunity for students to engage in activities. Everybody was looking for an answer. Everybody's still looking for answers and how to best engage our students. And as the video showed you there, it talked about how we partner with business and industry. So it's an education, business, and industry partnership. We rely on our partners to provide us with the up-to-date technical standards and skills needed for our students. And so we are a nationwide organization. There is a World Skills organization, which we are part of as well. So Skills USA is part of the United States. We are in every state, as well as Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. We have just a little under 400,000 members last year. California had 43,000 of those members. We have a technical focus, a STEM focus in all of our areas. When STEM was brought up by the administration a number of years ago, it was perfect for Skills USA because we do all of our programs, the competitive events and program areas are aligned to the STEM movement and certainly the things related to STEM. We do our training and implement our values and our mission through the framework, the Skills USA framework, and this was developed in partnership with business and industry. Again, we do that by working with students on their personal skills, workplace skills, and technical skills that are grounded in academics. Certainly helping students make good career choices is critical. A lot of people go to school. When I went to school, I started in sports medicine, went through an apprenticeship program, went to the world of work, came back, finished my degree and did it that way. But certainly SkillsUSA is helping those students make those decisions early so that they can have a successful career, whether that means a college education or whether it's just a skilled trade and apprenticeship program or training and those sorts of things. Again, lots of students involved. When I saw that first slide, it talked about your camps and your volunteers. Certainly, we look to business and industry people with engineers and those sorts of things to serve as judges for our organization. We do some amazing things with our students at a time when we're all looking at accountability. 98% of our high school members graduate. They graduate and come out of school not only with the skills needed to perform a job or a career, but also with those 3 elements of our framework. And so it helps them be more ethical. They learn how to do work in teams, planning and organizing and management. And so that facility management pipeline piece was very attractive to us when Sharon and the team approached me earlier this year about what can we do to make our students understand what facility management is. And that was a big question for me too. And since the time that I've had the opportunity to meet the FM pipeline folks, I've run into a whole lot of people who are facility managers, including one of my kids' partners in life. And so that's been an interesting eye-opening experience for me. I keep telling them, SkillsUSA is considered one of the best kept secrets, Mike always tells people, Micro, but certainly the facility management people fall into that category as well. I think there's a lot of them out there that people just don't know what that takes. But you can see how from this slide, the things that we do to work with folks. We do have military involved with us currently. When you mentioned the camps before we came online and everybody joined the meeting today, we'd certainly be willing to partner with this group and see what we can do to meet the needs of the military engineers or people from military rejoining us. We've had some success in California working with welding folks in the San Diego base, folks that are coming out of the military looking for work. So some amazing things happening down there as well. These are some of the competitions you can see that are aligned to the areas in the world of STEM. But certainly one of the other educational programs we're very proud of is Jump into STEM. And Jump into STEM is a program we created about 5 years ago, and it empowers our students at the high school level to reach down into the elementary school level and teach lessons on STEM education and what is STEM. Again, trying to get those students have an awareness at an elementary level so that by the time they get to middle school and high school and college, that they can make choices that hopefully will direct them and lead them into STEM careers. So lots of things we do related to STEM, and we appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. And certainly, Shelley sends her regards. She was unable to make it. She had a prior scheduled meeting, but love to continue that relationship. SkillsUSA is based out of Leesburg, Virginia, which is near your base as well. And certainly we can connect at that level and do anything we can to hopefully become part of your COI and make this work better for you as well as us. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, Clay. Next slide, please. You can see the diversity in this picture of your future workforce in the SkillsUSA students. This was a group of students that were taking the Facilithon competition in 2016, and you can see that we're covering the globe in our participation with SkillsUSA. Next slide, please. So there are a number of different ways that you can connect with this program that Clay and I have been working on together. You can create or join a Facilithon team. We have Facilithon teams already established in a number of states in the US. And at this point, they are being led by International Facility Management Association chapters, IFMA chapters, but they would be glad to have SAME participants on those teams. Those teams are the ones that organize the event, pull together the materials that are needed for that competition, make that contact with SkillsUSA to get a booth and to get space for the competition at their events. And if you wanted to start a new team, they are geographically based, they are by state, and a new team would require a champion and post support. And would have a team of people that are doers and leaders. We provide from the FM pipeline team a toolkit and a buddy like myself to guide you through that. You can also volunteer with SkillsUSA. They are often looking for judges for their competitions, and many of those competitions may be something that you are specifically familiar with, or they may be things like job interview skills and extemporaneous speaking, things that any of us can judge. So contacting SkillsUSA about volunteering at their events in your geographic area works as well. So as a post or a community of interest, you can support Facilithon. You can support Facilithon as an employer by providing job shadowing opportunities to the students that are in SkillsUSA and that are participating in the Facilithon, offering them summer internships, offering them the opportunity to learn about your business in general. And also as a service provider or product provider, these students can learn about your brand early while they're still in school. And either the employers or the providers or the post may help provide scholarship dollars for these students as well. So there are a number of different ways that you can get involved just by getting in touch with us. Next slide. So that's the contact information for myself and for Clay. If you wanted to talk about SkillsUSA specifically or about the Facilithon, you can. We would be very glad to talk to you further. Does anybody have any questions or feedback at this time?
So I'll start things off here. This is a really interesting, really neat program here. I like the way you've got the competition structured with the throw an emergency at them. I think most of our facility managers think they spend most of their time just doing that and never get to the stuff they plan to do every day. So that's I'm glad to see you guys incorporated that part of the job. Just a personal note here, about 25 years ago or so, when I was very active in the Illuminating Engineering Society before I became a member of SAME, I actually instructed some IFMA classes on lighting design and electrical switchgear in buildings for the local IFMA chapter. With SkillsUSA and Facilithon, you say that it's a state-run. Do you have? Is there a website? Where do I go to find out, like, who's the state chapter or where's the competition in, say, Ohio? I'm in Ohio.
Mm-hmm. My suggestion at this point would be there are two possibilities for that. First of all, we have our website listed here. I'm not certain that it specifically tells you the states that we're in, which is something we should look at and make sure that we have covered. But you can either get in touch with me or you can call that phone number that's listed under Facilithon and the FM pipeline, the 612-426-7227, and that will connect you with someone on our FM pipeline team who can answer those questions. At this point, just off the top of my head, we have been running Facilithon in Wisconsin for a number of years now. That was our first location. We do have Facilithon running in Virginia in partnership between a Virginia chapter and the Capital chapter of IFMA, and they are looking at bringing Facilithon into the high schools in the DC area as well. We've been asked to do that. We have run the Facilithon in Florida for a couple of years, Colorado for a couple of years. We just started virtually in California, as I've mentioned, with the COVID going on, and had a very successful virtual competition there. And we are working on developing new competitions in Kansas, Texas. Those are the ones that come to mind at the moment.
So how does the virtual competition differ? I mean, the other ones are held at a SkillsUSA conference, if you will. How are the virtual competitions handled?
They go through pretty much the same process, but the primary difference is that when we're in person, the students are able to actually meet the facility managers who are judging and who are running the competition and potentially who have a booth at that event, and talk to them in person more about facility management, learn more, and we can learn more from them about what their interests are and answer their questions. When it's virtual, we really just run the competition and then have an awards ceremony. So the students go through the same process. They have the quiz that's totally online, and then they have they're given that scenario, and then they are connected through Zoom with one or more judges who listen to them present their solution to that problem. And then the judges present to them that zinger at the end, that FM challenge. And that's the thing that the students love the most.
Oh, yeah.
So the ones that are going to be great facility managers are the ones that love having things thrown at them at the last minute. And so that's how we work it virtually.
So when they do the quiz, and when you present them the problem, then are they given some time to go and meet as a team before they come back and present to the judge?
It's individual. Each competitor is individual, and
Each
so
competitor's individual. Oh,
yes.
all right.
So
I misunderstood.
after they finish the quiz, then they are moved into another virtual spot that has the scenario on the screen, and they have 15 minutes to think about the scenario and think about what resources would they need, who would they need to involve, what would they need to do first, and so forth. And then they are connected, put in directly conversation with judges, facility managers.
Okay. And then they throw them the zinger, and that's just a dialogue, more or less.
And that's a quick dialogue at the end. Yep.
Okay. The lightning round.
Yep, and we do have each of these that are established at this point do have scholarships available for students, so that if they decide that they're going to pursue anything related to facility management, it might be a trade, because we need those tradespeople. It might be actual facility management degree courses, because we have colleges out there that we can direct students to if that's what they're interested in. Or it may just be business courses that we know are going to be useful if they become facility managers in the future. So that scholarship money is pretty broadly usable by the students.
I'm Vivian Gu. May I ask you one question? Can you hear me?
Yes, Vivian.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, I was a public director for the Navy base in Ventura County for 12 years. It was a GS-15 or something. But anyway, I am very familiar and I'm very interested. So if I call this number you have, because I'm involved with the local school for the entire county, and we've been having meetings, and I want to get them at their level to get involved, because that's the only way I'm going to get it on the curriculum, right? Because what you're telling me, and I love it, is because we're getting back to vocational training as well. I have a degree in engineering and a master's in business, and that's how you get to be that facility. But I'm not looking at that. I'm involved with all the universities and colleges here. I'm trying to get this into the system. I think it's great. This is the first time I've ever heard of it, to be honest with you. So we're in California. We're in California. I don't want to take up your time. I have this phone number. I'll call it and find out who's the contact, right? In California.
Either that, or, you know, since we've had a chance to talk personally, why don't you email me and send me your contact information, and I can get in touch with you, and you and I can chat.
Okay.
We can start with that.
Yeah, you're at the SHMINTOKA at Comcast?
Yes, that's
okay,
me.
Gotcha.
Minnetonka, where Tonka toys were first made.
Okay, and if I have a problem, I'll just call Eddie. Okay, thank you very much. It was a very good presentation, very interesting.
Great, I look forward to chatting with you.
Thanks for having us today. Appreciate it.
Is there anyone else who's got any questions? So we had Mike Rowe as one of our featured speakers at our virtual annual conference last year. He's a wonderful guy, and interestingly enough, he posed the challenge or the question to our group that STEM outreach isn't necessarily always professional careers, engineering, architecture, PhDs in math, that we need those technicians. I heard you mention that as well, and that's something we as as a community of interest are discussing here is how do we bring in the technicians into that, and at the K-12 level, especially because at that point, instead of dealing with people going off to college, maybe we're going to careers, technical career centers or technical school or trades or something. So that was pretty interesting.
And Jeff, that's where Clay can be helpful, because that is exactly what SkillsUSA does. They have clubs in the schools that help teach those skills to the students that are interested. And so if your teams want to get involved with SkillsUSA directly, Clay would be able to help direct you with that.
Oh, that'd be great. I see some overlap here between SkillsUSA, the Facilithon, and IFMA. I mean, we have an architectural practice, we have some facility managers, we have resilience and energy sustainability. We have a lot of different community of interests that would have some play in there. So as an SAME, as a general organization, there's leadership development. We have a lot of things in common. So thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate your presentation. It was great.
You're welcome, Jeff.
Thank you.
Hey, Ward Valentine here from the Hampton Roads Post. I did want to just chime in on one point that I've heard when you mentioned the technicians. I've heard it said, and I think it's germane to this conversation. One of the things we should think about doing in order to get more students involved, especially in those non-professional areas, the technicians, is to get the parents more engaged, because in the past, parents used to think, oh, I don't necessarily want my kids to go to the trades or technicians because, maybe it's not as good as having a PhD or master's or whatever. But now, as you can see from what Mike was saying, and I think everyone on this call knows, these kids can now come out with $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 jobs. So things have really changed quite a bit from maybe the older school way of thinking. So I think part of our charge is to get the parents themselves on board to say, aha, maybe that is a way, and also a way for our kids to come out, maybe not strapped with so much student debt as well.
That's a great comment. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Clay.
I was going to say, absolutely. It's really changing the culture and shifting, helping parents understand the value of it, as well as the guidance counselors in the schools who help place those students in classes. So we've been working diligently to try and get that changed. And I think with a lot of what's gone on in our economy and the nation over the past 15, 20 years, certainly it's becoming more attractive, making money right out of school versus incurring debt. So we appreciate that idea, and people are becoming more aware of it.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you're talking about that may be a new way versus the old way we used to think about that. I'm not going to tell you how many decades ago it was, but more than a few. I was working on a job site doing the electrical design for a hospital renovation. And one of the electricians there was a very good electrician I was working with. And he was not only working, a full-time job, working overtime, but he was going to night school and trying to work on an engineering degree because, as he told me, I want to get your job and so I can make big money. And I was like, well, what kind of money do you think we make? And he goes, well, and I'm serious, this is probably 35 years ago. He says, I'm only making about 50 or 60,000 a year. And I said, well, if you doubled my salary, I still wouldn't catch up to you at that time. Admittedly, that was a lot of overtime in his case, but the point is very well made that the perception that you have to go to college and get a professional degree to have a successful career is just not true.
That's right.
And we need to get that out. And your point, Clay, to get it to the guidance counselors, I think is important as well.
It truly is.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you all again. Anyone else with one last questions, or we'll move on?
Actually, hi, I'm Jody Taylor. I'm actually here in Honolulu. I'm not in a post, but I happen to be from Guam and I live in Honolulu. And I just want to say that I'm sorry that I came in late to this because this really looks very interesting to me, particularly from my not just a geographic standpoint, but also culturally. A lot of my people over in the islands, they don't tend to go to college. It's not affordable. and so they might take service jobs, and particularly tourism related service jobs. And so I'm very interested in looking into your website more and finding out about that, because I really think, and to the point of the parents as well, you know, being able to educate a parent that there are other options besides A, college, or B, you know, work at the local, you know, hotel or whatever, you know, tourism based kind of thing. I think that is a great way to kind of start opening that up. So again, I'm sorry that I had to come in late on this, but I am very intrigued by the program and I'm going to be looking it up. Thank you.
Well, we definitely have facility managers in the hospitality industry as well. So we need people with all the different skills as we're managing those locations.
Yeah, and Jody, to your point, and Liz, I will forward to Eddie, and Liz, I know Eddie showed the state director list on the screen, but I will also forward an Excel spreadsheet. So each of the states does have a state director like myself. You can reach out to them directly from a SkillsUSA perspective, and they can start that conversation as well. So.
Great.
Great. Well, Sharon and Clay, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. You are more than welcome to stick around and listen to the rest of our boring conversation. But thank you. If you need to sign off, I understand that. Eddie, let's go ahead and move on. So Eddie, could you give us a quick recap? Or I saw Joe Angel was on at one point. How did the virtual camps go this year?
Yeah, Joe is on, so I'll let him also just give some perspectives. But you know, just on the logistics side, we ended up with 129 campers participating. We had a really good week. We're going to be scheduling an AAR the week after Labor Day to just download with the Naval Academy staff in case we want to consider something similar next year. I think right now the plan is we'd go back to our physical engineering and construction camps. But you know, who knows what the year is going to bring us. And then we do have some ideas that we also want to follow up with SkillsUSA. So I'll let Joe kind of finish us off with any remaining update.
Thanks, Eddie, and thanks, Jeff, for the time. Yeah, as Eddie said, a challenging year for sure, but with the partnership with the Naval Academy, we were able to certainly introduce 120 something kids to a virtual STEM relationship with the Naval Academy and with, you know, SAME, and we certainly had a lot to learn. We were very fortunate that it was able to go off, but you know, it wasn't perfect, but it was an experience. And as we have learned, never diminish or minimize you know, what a high school kid can learn from a few minutes with either mentors or, you know, military folks in the professional ranks. And we're very excited to hear back from the campers on what they got out of it and how this is going to affect their life decisions moving forward. Big part of you know, me joining up here today with you guys is one of the initiatives as I approach my last year in the chair of the Camp COI is to broaden our reach, right? We've got our 5 in-residence camps that we talked about, the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Air Force Academy, Scott Field, and the Army down in Vicksburg. And those are amazing. Those are really, you know, the creme de la creme of an amazing experience for high school kids from around the country and from overseas. But what we learned, you know, particularly with the Naval Academy virtual camp is, you know, we can offer through a virtual camp an opportunity for a kid without the financial resources, a kid with maybe some physical disabilities, an opportunity to participate in a camp and learn something about what goes on behind our fence lines, you know, with the military and with the Society of American Military Engineers. So that's one thing that we're very excited about. Another is, like you, Jeff, I was very motivated by Mike Rowe's presentation at JETSI. And I, you know, again, I'm here in Eastern North Carolina. The Hurricane Florence recovery at Camp Lejeune in Cherry Point is the biggest risk to that project, that effort happening and getting Marines back on board Camp Lejeune is the availability of blue collar workers, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, HVAC techs, roofers. That's our biggest challenge. And so how do we develop blue collar workers, technical workers for our nation? And we all know that's one of the, you know, the biggest risks to our abilities to succeed is having technical kids, technical people in our professions that can come up and can make things, build things, and fix things. So I'm very excited to work with you guys, very excited to work, you know, through the SAME organization to find a way to develop a blue collar technical STEM camp of some sort where we can introduce and excite some of our youth who maybe aren't ready to go to college or certainly not ready to, you know, go fly jets for the Air Force or the Navy, but want to do something with their hands. And how do we do that within SAME? We've got our enlisted COI and all those great technical folks that we've got in the military that could be a tremendous partner for us. So again, that's one of my initiatives as I approach my last year in the chair, and I'm hoping with partnerships like K-12 STEM and SkillsUSA and others that possibly there's a way that we can further that effort and start to introduce our youth and our future to the skilled trades as well. Appreciate the time, everybody.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Appreciate your comments there. So yeah, with the camps all getting canceled and going virtual, it was great that we were able to offer something this year, and hadn't thought about that idea of either from even though we sponsor, most of our posts sponsor our campers, the fact that we still don't have room for everyone, and there are some who are at a financial disability or even a physical disability, a virtual camp offered every year, even when we're not quarantining, is a great idea. So that's wonderful. Let's go on to the next slide, Eddie. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I wanted to just take a few minutes here and share with the community of interest an assessment tool that was sent out by Neil Wright, our vice president in charge of our community of interest. Interestingly enough, as I mentioned, as the call was getting started, the leadership team for the community of interest here and I were having some of these similar discussions, and we had put together, revised our work plan, which we do annually for what we plan to do this year. And when the assessment came out, it's a pretty standard assessment. I believe the wording is fairly generic, and I'm pretty sure it went pretty much the same to all the different communities of interest to assess themselves. And it's basically what we would call a stoplight chart, green, yellow, and red. As you look at it, you'll see some green, you'll see some yellow, you're only going to see one red item. And I'm not going to go line by line and detail. Our strategic alignment and governments, we're doing a great job. You know, we do a work plan. We have succession plans in place. We have our leadership team. We can always use more people on the leadership team. And we're following the SAME plan. That yellow item, which says mission statement and strategic alliance, we put that in our work plan this year. We had a brand new charter last year. We're in our second year of existence, but they came out with a new 5-year strategic plan. And so we want to look at our charter and make sure we're aligned with the new 5-year strategic plan. Thinking exactly along the same lines, we just haven't done it yet. We have until May to complete everything on our work plan. So it's yellow. Somebody else would say, you know, we got it in hand, we're working on it. They might call it green, but we've got it yellow. Our steering committee, down under participation, steering committee positions filled, we got a few holes and we can always use more. So that's yellow. We're working on that. Our leadership is volunteer driven, but we can always use more volunteers. And our participation level, this is our only red item here. Participation metrics, I'd love to see a lot more people on this call. Love to see a lot more people on the leadership team. I'd love to see a lot more people contributing information either as a presenter here or as a writing an article for our STEM corner in TME or whatnot. Let's go to the next slide, Eddie. So here's the other half of the assessment here. A lot of green, just a few yellows here. Our operating order and standards, we're doing things. Our website needs some work, so it's yellow. It's on our plan for this year. We're working on it. We have some great speakers. We have some great presentations, thanks to Liza. We get great partners to present every month. We like to think the calls are worthwhile, and if they're not, then you need to tell me so we make them worth your while. Our external reach, we're working with a lot of outside organizations. We're bringing in folks. The one place that's yellow here, which is a discussion again that the leadership team has been the overlap and synergies with other COIs, bringing in the architectural COI and talking about STEM outreach in the architectural, or the leadership development, or facility management. And we've been talking about that. We want to do that this year. So it's in the plan. We're going to work it. Next slide, please. So overall, we've got a lot of green, we got some yellow, which is in process, and we got that one red thing. That one red thing has to do with some volunteers and participation. So this is a volunteer-run organization, and it needs volunteers. All right. Now here's the thing: you don't have to volunteer to be the chairman of the community of interest. You don't have to volunteer to be on the leadership team or be a liaison to another COI. If you want to volunteer to make one presentation on a call, if you want to volunteer to research some information, if you want to volunteer to judge one science fair, if you've got something that you're posted and you'll write up a paragraph and send it to me to include in a larger article, as Vivian did for the TME, that's great. We'll take every volunteer, and we'll take as little or as much as you can do. There's a lot of things, and as they say, many hands make light work. And we are volunteer run, and I'm just putting out the call. I can always use more ideas and more people helping out here. So that was our red thing. One thing we are going to try to do is try to get a little bit better metrics. Get sure we know who's all the POCs from the posts, and that we're making better contact with them. I'm going to start following up this call with kind of a summary email and getting it out to all the STEM POCs. Between you and me, here's what you missed, okay? Kind of a thing. Next slide, Eddie. Before I go on to this topic, did anyone have any questions on the assessment? I know I went through that pretty fast. I didn't want to belabor it, but if anyone's got any questions on there, I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, thank you. So, our telecons, our webinars here take on a slightly different flavor than maybe one from the energy guys or the resilience or the architectural practice, where they're offering a PDH. Ours is more about disseminating information, disseminating best practices, ideas. And one of the things that we've talked about is how to do virtual outreach. And I know we've covered this a little bit in the past, but what recently came up and what I wanted to talk about this month was that our local post normally participates in something called Tech Fest. It's about 75 different entities, professional societies, academia, companies, industry that have a booth and put on a thing, and we get about 4,000 high school kids come through for hands-on stuff to do. It's going to go virtual in February, like everything else. And so what the Tech Fest folks have asked our post to do is to develop a 10-minute video. They're asking everyone who normally has a booth to do a 10-minute video on their subject, on what they would normally want to present. And I think videos are great, but there's a few caveats that I want to make sure that we think about. The production quality has to be there. You can grab your phone and shoot a video, but you've got to have good sound, and you've got to be able to have the good camera angle and enough light so that the people on the other end can see what you're doing. When we do our video, I know we're going to have some folks have their kids in the video to show the other kids who are supposedly going to watch these, how to do it and what to do. It's not just going to be someone standing there, they're lecturing, but you need to have some good production quality in there. And then the other issue is how to disseminate the video. If you as a post are going to do a video, ours in this case is going to be fairly easy. The Tech Fest guys are putting together a site. They're going to have virtual Tech Fest, much like we did virtual JETC. And so as people go and join, they can scan through the videos and say, oh, I want to see what this one's about, or I want to see the one from the Natural History Museum, or I want to see the one, we call it the Gumdrop Construction Zone. The normal booth we do is for kindergartners and first graders, where we take toothpicks and gumdrops and we build structures and we show geodesic domes and we show that triangles are stronger than squares and all that. So they can pick through what they want to see. If you as a post are going to do a video, you need to have some kind of a platform at which to distribute that. In our case, it's going to be TechFest. The folks at Minot Air Force Base did a lot of STEM videos, and they put them on a private Facebook group for the officers' wives who had their kids at home, and it was in that. And so you would go to that Facebook page, and only they can see that. I mean, you can just throw one out on YouTube, but you're not really reaching out necessarily to your target audience. You make a video, maybe you need to make that contact with a school system who was looking for a guest speaker or something. So, you know, you may or may not need editing software. There's plenty of varieties of editing software out there if you get your video onto your computer, and try to make it, you know, a quality presentation. And then you have to worry about your distribution. I'm going to read my notes here now and quit just talking off the top of my head. So, but know your target audience. You can't do a video that's necessarily going to appeal to a kindergartner and interest a sixth grader and be too technical for a kindergartner. So, how are we doing? We got a few minutes left here. Does anyone have any questions on trying to create videos for virtual outreach? I know there's a lot of words on the tube. I didn't want to read them all. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, if anybody does have this kind of content, please send it to me, even if you've sent it before, forward it again so that we can capture it and start utilizing some of this. We do have a couple of marketing people on staff that are really good about posting this kind of content. So anything videos, feel free to forward my way.
Oh, that's great. I know that one of our local sustaining member firms here is volunteered their marketing people to do all the editing for our video that we're going to put together for TechFest. We're going to get 2 or 3 families to sit there. And another thing, think about the purpose of the video. Is it simply a demonstration? I'm going to do something and show it to you, or is it going to be one where I want the people watching the video to participate? Because TechFest was always a very hands-on event. So our video for that event, we're going to switch from gumdrops and toothpicks to mini marshmallows and toothpicks. We're going to try to do something where we think you got the stuff in the cupboard. Go get it, sit at the table, watch us and do it at the same time. And then when the video is over, you can continue to play all you want. Other videos, maybe more on a chemistry nature, might be ones just to watch. The guys at Minot were doing an egg drop contest, and they had 2 or 3 of their individuals competing and just see who won and who had different philosophies on their egg drop machines. So a little bit of planning, a little bit of writing of a script on what you want to present, and then again, be careful of your camera angles, use some editing, make sure you have good sound. If they can't hear and understand, or they can't see the picture, it's just not going to work. We are looking to, speaking of the website, Eddie, and sending content there, I desperately need someone to help me reorganize our web page. I am so not the guy when it comes to web pages and things. And if we can find someone out there who would help us with that, that is one of the items on our work plan for this year, is updating our website and getting it more organized, so that we can collect all of this information and get it out there, and then people would be able to find a video and download it. They wouldn't even have to create one if we can put a library of videos out there on our site for folks. And even take a high school teacher and direct her to our site, or you get it and send it to her, or whatever. So how are we doing on time? We got about 5 minutes here. I don't want to run over too much. What's our next slide, Eddie? I think we're getting down to it here. So does any of the posts out there want to tell me any exciting stuff they've been doing lately? I know it's been pretty quarantined.
Hi, this is Jim Hickman from Robbins Post. If I could share real quick some
Yeah,
areas
sure.
we're emerging on. So was very excited about the conversation with employing parents and shifting the cultural mindset for a college only versus a collective trade craft deal. I'm in currently active dialogue with our local VOTEX, and the purpose of that is to set up engagement where we're doing the VOTEC tasks and learning, but we bring in community leaders to spin wrenches with these kids. And so that way there's an exchange to help defuse and dispel kind of the boundaries that we've found ourselves in, to where we value each other's work that we're contributing. That's all. I just wanted to share that. I was very excited about the parents part. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate that, and that's a good tip. Anybody else?
Yeah, Jeff, it's Dick Kohanek from San Antonio.
Hey, Dick.
Yeah, yesterday we just got a message from one of the high schools, and they apparently have a Send to Space club. And their club is working on developing an orbital balloon with a payload. So they're looking for sponsors and mentors to help in that. So we're going to look into that to see how that works out.
That sounds really exciting. It reminds me one of the local colleges here, University of Dayton. A lot of us are familiar with the FIRST robotics competitions, and the local college is developing a competition called Robot in 3 Days, and they take that same high school FIRST robotics competition and they offer it to a group of folks at their college and give them 3 days to do it. And they try to get multiple teams, and they have to build the robot to solve the task at the same thing the high school kids are going to do, and produce a video. And then those videos are then made available to the various high school teams that they can see different ways that people might have solved the problem, whatever the task was, pick up a ball, move a pile of sand or whatever it was. And so they're trying to get this robot in 3 days. They're looking for sponsors. They're looking for help. Unfortunately, when they started last year, they just came to our post too late. They're like, oh, well, this is like next week. And I'm like, well, we don't react quite that fast. We meet once a month. So, but we're looking into getting to that this year. We've got some time to plan for that. So that's really cool. The Send to Space Club. That sounds really, really exciting. Anybody else got anything they want to talk about?
Hey, this is Tracy Dewar with Emerald Coast Post.
Hey, Tracy.
With school starting, hey, how are y'all? With school starting back, we're gonna do our STEM grants for elementary and middle school teachers again this year. We have $7,000 earmarked to give out for grants, and this year we want to make sure too, with a lot of students going virtual or being homeschooled, that we open that up. The grants for homeschool parents or the virtual schools to be able to do that as well. And we're also going to try again this fall to do trade scholarships, high school or separating military members who are going to the local trade school to learn a trade. We want to start giving scholarships for that. So that's what we've got going.
And that's great. And thank you for reminding me, because that is one thing I wanted to take to our scholarship committee was trade scholarships. And I don't know how the other posts are doing. I know we are at the Kitty Hawk Post here struggling just a little bit this year. We've canceled most of our events. We've gone virtual, and right or wrong, we made most of our virtual events free. So we're not making any money. I don't know if they're going to end up charging even a small amount for Industry Day, which they should, because there's going to be PDHs available. And our golf outing, which is our big scholarship winner and mentoring fund and all those things, is not going to do near as well. We're having an event, but it's not got the sponsorship or the participation. So one of the things that we're doing is we're getting still big with the local crayons to classrooms, where we can volunteer down there and earn grants or free supplies for schools and help do that. And we featured that last August, I think it was, in our STEM corner for TME, but the Crayons to Classroom, the Kids in Need is a great place for people where if you can't come up with money, you can go down and volunteer time to support your local school systems. Anybody else? We're actually a minute over. Let's go one more slide here. You got something, Vivian? You're muted. Vivian, you're still muted. I can't hear you.
In the Oxnard Post, we went ahead and asked people to either donate money to us because we couldn't do, like you said, projects and golf tournaments. And I asked for matching funds from the various entities, and that seems to work. That's all I wanted to share.
You're muted, Jeff.
I'm muted too. Look what I'm doing the same thing. Yes. No, matching funds is a great idea. That's all I was saying here. So lastly, our STEM Corner article for the latest TME was based on the virtual camps, and Joe, Angel, and others are going to write up that. But we do need an idea for the next STEM Corner article, which is due in September 15th, right, Eddie?
Yes, I think they're a little behind, but that's the target we want to shoot for.
Yeah.
And I had just written down this idea of teacher grants, and I'm wondering, as a theme, soliciting ideas from folks on what people are doing to what planning they're doing in response to COVID going into the school year. If there's any folks are gonna change up, that might be a good focus.
Yeah, we've kind of been doing our monthly calls here on virtual stuff, but we still have teachers in the classroom, whether they have some students in person and some virtual. Most schools that I'm aware of, and maybe not everybody, but it seems like at least around here, the teachers are going to school, so they have their equipment and their resources, even if all the students are virtual. And in many cases, it's a combination. Come to school if you want to, stay home if you want to log in. But teacher grants is great. And I think just in general, how are we doing? We're doing some virtual stuff. We're doing some Zoom. We're doing some video. Yes, if everybody would email me ideas on what your post is doing or how you've altered your STEM outreach per COVID. It doesn't necessarily have to be virtual. Maybe it's the matching, maybe it's grants, maybe it's tech scholarships, whatever that is. But anything, let's target that. Unless someone's got another idea, let's look at ideas for doing outreach during COVID, which does include virtual, but not strictly limited to virtual. What are things you're doing because you can't do your normal stuff? I like that a lot. And how maybe you're raising money or doing grants or supporting schools when you can't go in and be a guest speaker or part of after school science club demonstration or something. Oh, I see. I got an old note on the bottom of my slide there from last month. Sorry. Well, that's still accurate though. Okay, I think the only other slide is closing remarks here. If anyone has an idea of a best practice that they'd like to submit or would like to talk about at the next monthly call, always looking for someone else to do the talking besides me. Love to hear that. Liza's going to have another great partner for us to learn about. And if you've got a project or something you did, someone put on a whole day camp down at Emerald Coast Post or something, and they want to talk about what they did and how they organized it, I'm good with that, Tracy. But seriously, always looking for folks to present. Does anyone else have any final comments? We're already about 5 minutes over. If not, I thank you all for your participation. I thank you for what you're doing for your posts and for STEM outreach and for the kids, and hope you enjoyed today's call. I thought it was a really good presentation from the SkillsUSA and the IFMA people.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Copy that.
Take care.
Talk to you later.
See you next month.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thanks. I'll get y'all that.